Muhammadur Rasulullah.
One day, I had a dream. You see, when I was 22, my father died. And after he passed away, my mother took his library and put it in boxes, and we put it in the basement in our house.
Yeah.
So from time to time, whenever I went to go visit my mom, I would go down into the basement and I would look through these boxes to see the different books that my father had. So one day I had a dream that I was down in the basement looking through a box, and I heard a voice that said, "God is coming." So when I looked up, I saw a doorway, and all this light was coming out of this doorway, and it was pitch black in the basement, except for where this doorway was.
Yeah.
And then I saw someone start to walk down, and I only saw from the knees down, but I saw whoever it was wearing like a white robe,
Right.
and so he had this like no shoes on.
Okay.
And the person started to walk down. So you see, when we were growing up, there's a belief among us Christians,
Yeah.
that if you should see God, then you'll die.
Right.
So in the dream, I had this same sort of belief.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh my goodness, if I actually see God's face, if that's God, then I'm going to die. So I hid behind a pillar. But then I thought to myself, well, if that's God, then I really want to see what he looks like, you know? I've been waiting all my life to meet him. So when I peeked around, I saw that the person was gone, but the door was still open.
Right.
And when I looked down in the box, I lifted a book out of the box, and the dream ended. Anyway, I had to tell that story because some weeks after I started reading the Quran,
Right.
I was at my mother's house
Right.
in the basement, decided to look through some of the books, and opened up one of the boxes, and it turned out my father had a Quran.
Oh.
So this surprised me because I never knew my father had a copy of the Quran.
Right.
So I started to read it, but the more I read it, the more it scared me, actually, because I couldn't tell who was talking, but whoever was talking in this book seemed to kind of comment on human life in general, only spoke in black and white principles. There were believers and disbelievers.
Yeah.
And then the worst third group, which was the hypocrites. So anyway, the more I read it, the more it intrigued me.
Right.
And then that's when I became a Muslim, the more I read it, because I was sharing this with this Arab brother who told me about Islam.
Yeah.
And he gave me a debate between a Christian and a Muslim.
Right.
And I took it home and I watched it, and I was shocked at when the Christian scholar was challenged in regards to the parts of the Bible that were changed.
Yeah.
He had no answer. And so that infuriated me because I watched my grandmother spend her entire life preaching this message, and my grandmother was a very simple, uneducated, but very righteous person.
Sure.
And I thought that if at the highest levels people know this, and you have all these sincere people who are promoting this, and they don't know it, then how could this be? So that's what started me into searching more and more. Right. And I began to fall in love with this book called the Quran.